combination of the strong upper-level winds that gave that cold front a big extra punch, and the upper-level winds mixing down to the surface really shot the wind speeds up for a couple of hours this evening. And our peak wind gust in the city recorded at our WeatherNet site located at the Explorer Children's Science Center at 67 miles an hour. And we're looking at very little in the way of cloud cover over the next couple of days. As you look out to the west, that storm in California should stay parked there for a couple of days. And what we've got coming up is a ridge of high pressure that'll build in with some warmer air. But later this week, that storm will make its approach, and we're likely going to see some rain today, but some afternoon clearing, highs in the low 60s. And then the weather that we got so used to, we're going to be back to that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with temperatures in the mid to upper 60s and a little bit of morning low cloudiness with mostly sunny skies in the afternoon. So be patient. Spring will return shortly. We're kind of in a hole between snow showers. They're out to the west of us, to the north of us, to the south of us, and off to the east of us on the other side of the Sandias. Good morning from the KIRO Weather Center, and we've got great news heading into this all-important Mother's Day weekend. Low clouds to start off with today, but then sunshine coming up for several days. Highs today in the low 70s and even warmer heading into the weekend.
Right now, a full day ahead. And yesterday, obviously, we were talking a little bit about the problems of severe weather. I should say, Larry Rice is here today. Rob Cook somehow getting the day off, and we're glad to have you in from Albuquerque.
Thank you. And the severe weather threat diminished overnight, and the concern became flooding. And there are a couple of counties right along the western edge of Minnesota that are looking at a flood watch till about noon, but the rain has eased off there. You're looking at dry conditions right now in the Twin Cities from our Minneapolis Skycan at the Nicollet Mall, but get ready, because rain is on the way. And right now, SkyMax is tracking the rain, and it is moving to the east, and probably sometime before 9 o'clock, this will be swinging in to the Twin Cities with the likelihood of, maybe a third to a half an inch of rainfall from these showers and thunder showers. Again, I don't expect severe weather out of this, but you could get some brief heavy rainfall that could cause some local flooding, especially if the ground is very dry, because the water won't permeate into the ground that quickly, and then eventually it'll start to saturate. But right now we're looking at 72 degrees, south wind at 16, it's gusting to about 23, humidity's at 73%, and our dew points
it was warm all over the country.
Yeah, when you look at the lower 48 is the warmest on record. And in fact, we were 4.5 degrees above the average of the last century, the 20th century. The old record for the warmest April was 1981. Now, how does that stack up here in New Mexico? Well, we were not the warmest in April. We were the 6th warmest. There were 5 other years ahead of us, and 1954 ended up being the warmest year ever. In fact, 2002, just 4 years ago, we had the 2nd warmest. Texas and Oklahoma had their warmest ever this year. Great night for your on-the-town plans. You won't have to worry about chilly temperatures or gusty winds, but get ready for a warm weekend, and there are some changes you'll want to take note of if you have plans for Sunday. More on that coming up in the Pinpoint Forecast.
Larry, how's it going?
It is very hot out here, and it's also very hot officially at the Albuquerque Sunport. And that's because we've tied our record for this day, as I showed you in the data bank just a few minutes ago. Notice he can talk and flip burgers at the same time without causing bodily harm here.
The fellow was brought here to the shelter on the 4th of July, probably scared out of his wits from fireworks. He has a tag, and that means his owners have probably been notified, and he'll be home real soon. What's unfortunate is half of the animals that are brought to the shelter don't have tags, and they'll probably never see home again. In the 10 years that you've been playing golf, have you ever seen a hazard like this?
No, hardly at all. We got a 2-stroke penalty for hitting the plane.
The plane was hauled off to the course maintenance shop, where its wings were removed for road travel on another trailer. But there was more work to be done, fixing some of the biggest divots ever made on this par 5 hole.
Greenskeepers say the damage to the 17th hole is estimated between $500 and $1,000. They've seeded the damage. Grass should be growing in about 4 days. As far as the plane, well, that may take a little longer and a little more money to repair.
That prevented Chopper 7 from landing at the site, which is accessible only by logging road.
We're at about 2,000 feet. This is where LeBeau and his companion were flying last night at about 9:45. Without warning, they ran right into these treetops on the top of Blind Mountain.
Had the plane been 100 feet higher, it might have cleared the mountain.
Interest rates are a two-edged sword. As they've gone up in the past few weeks, stock prices have plunged. Cause and effect. But on the bright side, people getting out of stocks right now can get into investments based on a rising interest rate.
In Seattle, Larry Rice, KIRO
Total
News.
ban on smoking. The decision will come later this summer.
Most smokers say they could live with further smoking restrictions on board Washington state ferries, but a no-smoking policy is a bitter pill to swallow. On the Spokane near Winslow, Larry Rice, KIRO Eyewitness News.
Soaring high above the lake, they are a majestic sight. An osprey is larger than a hawk, but smaller than an eagle. Their nests are found on old tree stumps, most of them many feet in the air. Some 25 of the Seahawks live in this area. Nests are used by the same pair of birds year after year. Problem is, some of the nests are threatened by the lake and have to be moved. The only way to reach the nests is by boat. This one to be moved is 50 yards from shore and only 2 feet above the lake, which will be rising in a month or two. Others have been moved, and it's usually pretty easy.
The job wasn't as easy as first suspected because they found a whole lot of yellow jackets hanging around the nest when they arrived.
Several hundred were feeding on fish remains in the nest. The bugs were chased away, and the nest was finally wrenched from the stump and placed in a boat.
We basically held the reservoir down this summer to let the young birds come off the nest, and now that they're off, we're going to be raising the lake so that we have maximum amount of water behind the dams for this winter when we need to generate power.
Puget Power workers handled the job, but couldn't move the nest without the okay from the state. That's because osprey are protected by law.
The biggest problems have been destruction of nest sites. It appears to be the limiting factor. If we can maintain the number of adequate nest sites, the food source is here and they should do very well.
With the nest on shore, shell samples were removed for testing. In about 3 months, this same nest will be replaced at the same site, on top of a 30-foot riser, keeping the nest well above the lake and next year's young Seahawks out of danger.